Well, the hell did I bring home now? Well, let's open this thing up and see what's inside.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
All right, let's get these things unboxed. Well, we got them out of the box, and I'm gonna say these things look pretty sweet. All right, as you can see, these are in their original box. And I want to say that these are probably, I think these are from the late 70s. And I need to let you know, here's the specs on these things. And these are just little bookshelf speakers. And I was inspired to pick these things up from a good friend of mine, David Stevens. And he has some affiliation with Epicure and Genesis speakers. And he found these for me. He's been trying to get me to pick up a pair of these. Apparently he's got like 30 sets of these things, but anyways, I thought he was going to sell me one of his sets that were pristine and nice, but no, he found me a set that is nice, but not perfect. So the woofers need to be reconed. Obviously, these foam surrounds are absolutely destroyed. But I'll tell you what, these things have been just sitting somewhere and loved. I mean, the grills are really quite nice. I mean, the fact that they're in the box, I mean, the surrounds are just everywhere. Let's check out this other one. I mean, this thing still got the inspection sticker on it. And this one's, the surround is still somewhat intact. Let's turn these things around, check out the back. We may have some damage on the terminals here. Looks like the push terminals have been taking a whack. So what we're gonna end up doing is replacing these surrounds, and I'm gonna get with David, and he tells me that he's got the source for all the surrounds and the information on how to replace those. So up next, we'll show maybe replacing the surrounds on these things. All right, so we got the drivers out, and as you can see, these have a date 7/15 of 2000 or 1981, I should say, and they've been tested and all this cool stuff. So you can see how destroyed these. I mean, you just sneeze on these things, they're gonna fall apart. So we got new surrounds for these. Got them from Simply Speakers. Comes with some glue, a little brush. Going to give you some tips and tricks on how to do this stuff. And all importantly, we've got 2 surrounds. So with a little bit of magic, we will get this thing cleaned up, right? All right, so we got the surround, original surround, completely off. Got as much of it off of the cone as possible. And there's lots of different options for glue. My good buddy David advised me to use Elmer's glue wall. Make sure that it's not the washable glue. But what I did notice was from original, these are some sort of like a rubber cement kind of contact adhesive glue on here, which I'm pretty sure is what's in this tube. So I'm going to play around with these a little bit and figure out what glue is going to work the best for me on this. Play around, set the surrounds on, and see how it works. All right, so I think I've decided by playing around with this thing that I want to actually put the cone on top of the surround. And the reason why is because if you do that, just by the nature, if you got this outer part centered and using these bolt down holes as a reference, the cone's just going to sit there, and it's just by its shape is going to self-center it. And I actually did that, and it had no coil rub. So that's what you're looking for, and I'll kind of explain that after I glue it. But so what I've done is I've gone to the table saw, ripped up basically some sticks here to wedge in here to bring the cone up, so there's no tension on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue this outside edge first, and then I'm gonna come back and glue the cone. All right, so we got both of these refoamed, and like I said, I did the cone on top of the surround, and you can just see there's a little bit different color. If these were the same color, you probably wouldn't even really notice that at all. One of the things that you need to be aware of, and again, this video isn't to show you how to do this. This is more just to inspire you to go out there and save these speakers and use them and whatever, because they are really affordable, and it's cost effective to just refoam these things. So make sure that, and you're going to do this whether the surround's on the inside or the outside of the cone, and just make sure that you have, you know, enough glue to span this contact area in there, right? And you got to make sure you get full coverage. So I had to sort of run the glue, you know, in between here and make sure that I carefully did it. So one of the things you got to be careful of is the glue will actually come out and go onto the spider and inside onto the basket and stuff. So just make sure that once you do that, you cleaned it up and make sure that you don't have any. And then as it's gluing, you need to keep going around and pushing this down. And what you can actually do is once you get to a point where it's pretty well stuck, you can actually push both sides together and make sure that you've got great contact and adhesion and stuff too, because you know there's going to be a lot of force on this surround. You know, if you got a sealed box, you know, the air has no place to go other than blow out these things. So if you're not glued really well, you will fail. So anyways, we're gonna get these back into the box, let them dry overnight, and then we're gonna do the sound test on these things. So I'm pretty excited. So anyway, David, this one's for you. So hopefully these things work out really well, because I'm excited. All right, so repairs are all done, speakers are all back together, got them on the bench. Before you hate on, oh, well, why aren't you playing this on a vintage receiver? Well, I could bring it in the house, but you know, I thought this was a more suitable place to kind of shoot a video and whatnot. And so anyways, we're gonna do a sound demo, go over some of this stuff, and we're gonna check out what's on this box, because this is the box that these came in, and it's pretty cool. So anyways, let's listen to some music clips, and when we get done, I'll kind of give you my opinion on what I think. So so I snuck some little clips in there. Hope we won't get any copyright strikes on that stuff. But really, to appreciate this stuff, these speakers, I mean, David, you were right. These things are great. And, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, in the world that we live in today, speaker technology is probably one of the things that really hasn't either advanced much, or it was just really awesome, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago. I mean, these speakers are 35, almost, well, excuse me, these are almost 45 years old. So, and they're amazing. And so let's go check out some of this stuff and go over the box, because I don't know if I really showed much of that. So, as far as my opinion on how these things sound, I'm really blown away. This 8-inch woofer really has a very good low-end response. And we'll show you the response sheets on here in just a second. And the tweeter is amazing. These are really a well-balanced speaker, and I didn't EQ anything. And the reason why was if I was going to EQ it, I would probably just boost up the low end because that's what we like to do. I like to listen to them, you know, the way they were created, the way that they were crossed over. And they are an amazingly balanced speaker. They work really well. And this area really isn't all that conducive, this bench, for, you know, resonating and creating more low end. And these things really had a good, strong mid bass punch and a deep, you know, low end presence. So these are really, really amazing speakers. And let's go take a little closer look at them. And like I said, let's check out the box. All right, so this is what we got here is the box. And like I said, this is the box that these speakers came in. I'm not saying these are new in the box, but somebody had these things, stuck them in the box. And the interesting thing is these are printouts, and you can see that they have little holes in them from the little dot matrix printer thing that spit these things out. And so, you know, they ran these things through some, you know, sort of analyzer where they stick a microphone and bzz, run the frequencies through it. So here's the response, and you can see, you know, they're reasonably flat, and then they seem to fall off. And they I'll show you. They say that these things are to 55 hertz, and you can see there's a pretty sharp, you know, that's 10 dB drop from 55 to 30. I guess maybe that's 40. That's 40 hertz. I'm gonna say. So. But I really felt like the low end was quite nice on these things. So it's pretty cool that they give you these graphs with the serial numbers on it. And these are the serial numbers that are on the speakers. So come around here to the other side. And this is where we got the specs. Okay, so I was running this thing on a 100 watts per channel car amplifier, but that's rated at 4 ohms. And these are 8 ohms impedance, so you know we can really half that power. So these things were seeing 50 watts, and I was turning these things up, and I'll tell you what, these woofers weren't bottoming out, they weren't distorted, they weren't unhappy at all. So you could probably give these things 50, 60, 80 watt, you know, even 100 watt, you know, per channel amplifier, and these things are going to do probably pretty well. So these are the dimensions, and then apparently the crossover between the tweeter and the woofer are 1800 hertz, which means that this tweeter does a pretty good job of playing pretty low, and so it's got a pretty wide spectrum. So that's pretty cool. It says the woofer has a 36 ounce magnet. That seems awful big for what it was. But anyway, so in the frequency response, 55 to 20,000 hertz. And, you know, the plus or minus is that chart that you saw. So I'm just super pleased with these things. And just having this box is really a nice added bonus. And the box is in really good shape other than the brown packaging tape. It would have been nice if somebody would have used these things. Have probably been shipped a couple of times, or who knows how many hands these things have gone through. But to have the sheets, the inspection stickers we saw on the back of the woofer were there. And like I said, you know, the you know, I guess the heart of this speaker and Genesis and whatnot is this inverted dome, and you know, we've seen these on some modern Focal speakers and whatnot. And it's a wonderful piece. It really is. But, you know, on the other hand, this woofer is no slouch. You know, this 8-inch in a bookshelf. This is a large bookshelf speaker. It's about 19 inches tall. I think it's about 10 inches wide. So anyways, I couldn't be more pleased with these speakers. You know, I'm probably with the repairs, you know, the speakers were cheap. The speakers were like $80. And, you know, like I said, how nice a shape. The corners aren't busted up. They're not scratched up. You know, this is a vinyl veneer, which kind of sucks. It'd be nice if it was a wood veneer. But, you know, the shipping was, you know, like another $80. And then, you know, the recone kit was about $30. And it really wasn't that difficult to do. You know, like I said, how I did it is how I did it this time. Next time, maybe I'll try a different way. And I have another set of speakers that we're going to do. So Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. This is kind of our home edition, and all my intentions always been to include some home stuff because I am excited about that kind of stuff as well. So we'll keep bringing you some more home stuff, more car audio stuff. As the stuff comes my way, and we'll test it out. And there's some good stuff out there, and I encourage you, find it, fix it, use it. Okay. I at some point I think I'm going to stick these speakers up here on the bench, and with my speaker selector, I'll be able to run different speakers and different stuff, and kind of use these as just the bench speakers. I'm not sure if I want to use them in the house or not. We'll play around with them, but I do have a set of Bostons that I'm going to repair here, and we'll do a test on those too. So anyways, please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll keep making stuff. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching.